terms of the Swiss banks are written, AT1s are written, and the way the terms are written in other parts of Europe. And also to recognize that the ECB made clear that they're operating in a different paradigm than the Swiss authorities were. But I think it's also clear that there's going to need to be some fairly systematic rethinking of these contingent capital instruments and how they work and on what occasions they are going to be bailed in and on what occasions they're not. Despite many years of legal discussion, it's clear that there were not sharp and shared understandings in the marketplace. I suspect and hope that European authorities, with the support of the United States and Secretary Yellen and Chair Powell, will send strong signals of support over the weekend for the European banking system, because given the scale of European institutions, there are potentially global consequences if problems spread from them.
Larry, we have been understandably really focused on the banking situation, whether the United States or in Europe. But in the meantime, the war in Ukraine proceeds. You had an op-ed piece in the Washington Post specifically on Russian assets. Take us through what you think would be a good step forward on the economic front as opposed to the military front in Ukraine.
I've been working with former World Bank President Robert Zoellick on this, and with noted policy academic Philip Zelikow, who's a real legal expert. We are going to have to put billions of dollars, probably ultimately over $100 billion, into Ukraine to win the war and then to win the peace. And the question is how that's going to be financed. And we believe there is both precedent, moral right, and appropriateness to the financing coming from the Russian reserve assets that we have frozen. And right now, those assets are frozen, but there is not yet a willingness to deploy them to finance the ongoing support for the economy and the ongoing compensation for damage that Russia has caused to the Ukrainian economy. And we believe that there needs to be appropriate and creative lawyering, along with strong political leadership, to get past that and to be able to deploy those Russian reserves for that purpose. At a time when we are declaring that President Putin is a war criminal, it seems to me almost inconceivable that we should be stopping short of using what are the currently immobilized assets of his state to deal with the damage that he and the Russians are causing.
Larry, thank you so very much. That's our special contributor here on Wall Street Week. He's Larry Summers of Harvard. Coming up, it was a week that called for courage, and we found it in a somewhat unlikely place. That's next on Wall Street Week on Bloomberg.
Now, your 3-day weather forecast on Bloomberg 1130.
Through the afternoon hours, looks like the showers are going to remain south of the city. We'll keep the cloudiness. Temperatures 45 to 50. Cloudy tonight with showers likely, especially after midnight, 40 to 45. Rain tomorrow, breezy, it's 45 to 50. The rain moves out tomorrow night. Will turn partly cloudy, lows near 45. Then sunny, breezy, and mild on Sunday with temperatures close to 60 degrees. I'm Rob Carolyn with your 3-day forecast on Bloomberg 1130.
This is your daily reminder from Innovation Refunds. Carolina Sports Incorporated provides an array of photography services for sports teams and schools. Innovation Refunds helped owner Mark Hood claim a payroll tax refund so his business could retain his employees and recover resources lost during the pandemic. Bringing big corporate tax refund services to those of us who normally would not have access is genius, Hood said. Working with the Innovation Refunds team has been a positive experience. Learn more about Mark's ERC journey at innovationrefunds.com.
Europe is at the forefront of building a new economy. After a year of war, supply chain bottlenecks, and economic disarray, global leaders must work through the opportunities and challenges facing the continent. On April 19th and 20th, Bloomberg New Economy will gather leaders of government and business for discussion around the most pressing issues facing the European economy: inflation, regulation, supply chain disruption, energy, and cryptocurrencies. Watch the event live from Ireland at BloombergNewEconomy.com.
Finally, one more thought. One man with courage is a majority, so said Thomas Jefferson. And through the years, we've seen some notable examples of a single person, be it a man or a woman, standing up for what they believe in despite all the odds. Like Army Secretary Joe Welch back in 1954, going toe-to-toe with Senator Joe McCarthy during the Red Scare.
Until this moment, Senator, I think I never really gauged your cruelty or your recklessness. If you look down and down, have you no sense about decency, sir?
Or in the 1980s, Johnson & Johnson CEO Jim Burke taking the bold and expensive decision to pull all Tylenol off the shelves across the country until he could be sure of the absolute safety of his product. And that brave student we saw stand up to the tanks in Tiananmen Square in 1989, never to be seen again. Vice President Pence on January 6, 2021, stood up to his boss, President Trump, and a rampaging mob calling for him to be lynched as he insisted on doing his constitutional duty to certify the election of President Biden.
President Trump is wrong. I had no right to overturn the election. The presidency belongs to the American people and the American people alone.
But one area where we haven't seen much courage is in our dealing with our national debt, especially when it comes to how we're going to pay for all that we owe in Social Security and Medicare. Everyone agrees that what we are doing is not sustainable.
There's bipartisan support for Social Security and Medicare. If anything, we need to shore those programs up. They're running out of money.
But when President Biden brought up the subject of the State of the Union address this year, he managed to get Republicans and Democrats to agree